Hey everybody, Chris Neuhahn here. I wanted to make a video to further the discussion that was started with Steven Silver's video called USA Animation Artists, Sorry We Messed Up. This isn't a rebuttal, it's more adding to the conversation. The first thing that I wanted to cover is the idea that the union or anybody else messed up, and that's why the animation industry is in the state that it is. The union just simply does not have the power to stop outsourcing or the use of AI. They don't. The simple economics of doing a TV show require outsourcing. There is not enough money coming from the streamers to have an entire production based in the United States, and especially not in Los Angeles. The artists are too expensive. And no matter how you want to look at the cost of it and say CEOs are making a bunch and all that, Nickelodeon and DreamWorks and all those studios are in the business of making a product. And hiring you or any of your friends is a byproduct of them wanting to make a product. And the cost of that product has to be dictated by what someone is willing to spend on it. In the case of streaming, they are paying a licensing fee for that show, and the show has to cost Nickelodeon or anyone else, the cost of producing it has to be less than what a streamer or the advertising dollars will bring in for that show. It's the same in your own life. You need a job that pays you enough to cover your baseline bills and your food and all that stuff. And hopefully you're making a profit. For you, that's extra money that you get to put into savings and, go out for entertainment and whatever other things. It's the same for the studios. And the amount of money that is there is not enough for them to hire US-based artists for everything. All of the jobs that exist at the studios, other than some key feature productions that are prestige projects by like Pixar, Disney, DreamWorks, they are not going to bring in enough money to cover the cost. And the only reason that we have jobs in TV at places like Nickelodeon or DreamWorks Television and all those places, Disney as well, the only reason we have those jobs is because of outsourcing, because we are there to manage the outsourcing studios. We're there to ensure quality. We're there to direct the vision of a show, and the outsourcing studios are there to produce it. And if the union managed to limit outsourcing or stop it altogether, which again, I don't think is going to happen ever, and it was never going to happen. If they said today that Nickelodeon, you cannot outsource, or you're not allowed to outsource these key positions, which are more expensive, usually. People that direct things, there's less of those jobs, therefore they get paid, and there's less people qualified for those jobs, therefore they get paid more. If Nickelodeon signed that union contract, let's just say that they did. They signed a contract that says you can't use AI and you can't outsource. What they're going to do is not outsource a part of a production. They are just going to not produce a show in-house other than key prestige projects. They're going to hire a studio in Vancouver, like a Bardell or DHX or whatever studio, and say, you are now the producer of that show. Here's what we want out of it. Because they have an idea how much a streamer is going to pay for a show, and they know how much they're willing to spend on it. The other option is that the show just doesn't get made. They're not going to make something that costs them more to produce than they will earn from it. Just like you will not take a job that pays you less than your baseline bills. Desperation aside, there's an economic fallacy that's known as the labor theory of value, that the more you put into something, the more it's worth. And that is just simply not true. You may have spent more on it in time or dollars or whatever, but the ultimate value, what someone is willing to pay for it, determines the ultimate value. Because otherwise, if I made chairs for a living, I would just spend more time on them, therefore get to charge more money. It doesn't work like that. If you need to draw with a pencil, you're going to buy the pencil that you can afford or that you're willing to afford. It doesn't matter if the person hand carved the pencil and hand ground the graphite and hand mined the latex for the eraser. It doesn't matter if you can't afford that pencil and you just need to put lots of lines down on paper and you're going to go through a lot of pencils and you can't afford it. You're not going to spend that much money. It doesn't matter how much money was spent. And no amount of complaining about CEO pay or anything like that, or what they are spending money as opposed to paying artists more, whatever. None of that matters. It's what that entity is willing to pay for a product. And everyone, maybe I said this already, I don't remember now. Everyone needs to understand that your job in animation exists because of them wanting to make a product. They don't make a product so they can hire people. They hire people so they can make a product. Just like you in your own life, you don't think, oh, I want to give an auto mechanic work, so I'm going to go drive through a pothole and rip my front wheel off my car. You're only going to hire that mechanic because you need something done. And it's the same for all industries as it is for animation, that people are hired to make the product, not the other way around. And the cost of making the product is going up. We were in a boom in the last 5-6 years for two big reasons that are directly related. One is all the different streaming services coming up and them all wanting their own products to be put on their streaming services caused a lot more shows to be made, more than would have normally been made. And then the government response to COVID. All the lockdowns were causing places like Nickelodeon to greenlight shows, not Nickelodeon, Netflix, to greenlight shows they had previously passed on, because the show, unlike live action, could be produced from people working at home. So they ordered more than they would have normally ordered. There's another factor in that too, which is the artificially low interest rates that we've been under since the housing crisis in 2008. All of that creates conditions where costs go up, the number of things that people are spending money on goes up because money is cheap. All of those things are driving it all up and driving the number of shows going up. And the bust after those booms, just like with the 2008, is the recovery. That is the market returning back to what it would have been absent the things that caused the boom. And so here we are in an industry that is at a minimum at a plateau, maybe even going down. And the union is powerless to stop the outsourcing, like I said, but they're also powerless to stop AI for largely the same reasons. There's no way for us to stop a development exec from using AI to blue sky the look of a new show. If some development exec right now is sitting at Nickelodeon to make, yet another iteration of Turtles, and they're on Midjourney typing in prompts for new ways to make the Turtles look, and then they hand that off to an art director when he starts on the show, even if they're going to use an art director in the States, that art director is going to have to make a decision. And what weighs into his decision is going to be how long he's been out of work, whether he truly cares whether the exec did that or not. And you're just going to have to take that inspiration and run with it if you want to have a job in the industry. And there's really no way around that. And the next generation of artists will come along and just AI has been part of it. And that's just the way it will be from then on out. But it just like when outsourcing first became part of animation, it changes the nature of the jobs rather than just a blanket replacing of them. If you can think of it like when the car came along and replaced wagons. For a while, wheels were made in a similar way, but ultimately that went away. And there's not much we can do. It's economic destruction. There's a thing that Stephen talks about that I agree with, where he's talking about, making your own artistic niche. I don't think that that's for everyone. Him and Jake Parker and other people talk about this a lot. And I agree with the idea that probably the way forward, like especially if you want to be a pure artist, which it's debatable whether there's truly such a thing. If you want to make a living off of art, and you want to have some degree of say in what that art is, then you're going to have to create a personal relationship with your potential audience. I don't think everyone's that entrepreneurial, but if that's what you want, you're going to have to do that. And you might have to move out of California because it's just too expensive to live here. Because, for the income that you make, even as an entry-level board artist in animation, if you could move to the outskirts of Austin, you could probably buy a 3-bedroom house. And here it's going to buy you a postage stamp with a toilet. Especially if you're going to become an independent artist, you have to lower your costs, at least for a while. But everyone has to make that decision for themselves. The only thing I'll say is try not to go into debt, and, make sure your family and you can eat and cover your bills. And if that means moving to another industry, either temporarily or permanently, and it means moving out of California, then do it. Anyway, unfortunately, I don't have some sunny message like Steven's wrong because this is why everything's going to be great. The industry is changing. The productions here are going to be smaller, and the reality is it's cheaper to do the work overseas, and what streamers are willing to pay is going down again outside of prestige projects. Not everything is going to have the budgets of Arcane and other shows like that are just super, super expensive. There'll be some of those, but then there'll be a lot of things that are way cheaper. And you either have to find your niche in that or do something completely else as an artist. Because within the entertainment industry, whether it's movies or TV or whatever, you are there to service the product. And artistic fulfillment isn't always going to come from the products that you work on. And you either continue in the industry and find your own fulfillment elsewhere, or, there'll be a handful of people that get to plow forward and create the look of the next thing. But there aren't that many of those jobs. Anyway, if you're an artist, stick to it. Keep drawing. Don't give up on that. I know for me, I will draw, I make music, I do all these things, and most of them never earn me a dime. And I do them because I'm driven to do it. I can't not do it. And if you have that passion for art, do it. Maybe you go work at whatever, a factory job, driving a truck, working an oil rig or whatever. It doesn't matter. If you have that drive, you keep doing it. And maybe you get lucky and people start to want your stuff enough to pay for it. And how that works in your life, you'll have to figure it out, because there is no formula. Anyway, I truly wish everyone good luck in getting a job that gives them the things that they want out of life. Thank you.